You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast. And in this episode, I've got one of those really interesting stories to tell you. This is a family business that's been in the dental industry serving us beautifully well for so many years. It was started by one generation, now it's gone to the next generation, and who knows what happens after that. Hopefully they're all having children so it can continue on. And it's such a wonderful story. I do love these family business stories. And I welcome Berris Saultry from Dental Innovations. So great to have you here, Berris.
Thank you very much for having me along, Julie. I appreciate the opportunity.
Now, I've been around for so long. I remember your father, Merv, coming around to our dental practices back in the day. Now, he started the business. Can you give us a bit of a snapshot, just for those people out there that may not know what Dental Innovations is? And that would be a very small percentage, I'm sure, but also the history behind Dental Innovations. Could you give us a bit of a picture of that?
Yeah, sure. I'll start with just a quick overview of Dental Innovations, so you've got a little bit of context in terms of who we are and what we can do for practice owners. One of the easiest ways to describe Dental Innovations is we are a membership organisation for practice owners, and what we're doing is creating an umbrella for practice owners to come under, so independent practices, and I guess harnessing the purchasing power of those individual practices under our umbrella to negotiate benefits across the spectrum of services for our members. Looking to, number one, reduce the operating costs of a practice and hence increase the profitability, but also create systems and efficiencies within the practice. And one of the more powerful things we do is actually network and connect practice owners together, so forming almost like a self-help group for practice owners in the industry. I guess the story of how Dental Innovation started, so when you're harking back to when we started 25 years ago, it's our 25th year in business. Merv, my father, was actually a senior bank manager out in Mildura in the regional area, and he got approached by one of his customers and friends, just based out of frustration in terms of not having the ability to negotiate pricing with supply companies at that point. It was a very different market back then. There was very little competition from suppliers. So Merv put together a business plan or a proposal in terms of what they could do, and this was based around the local study group. And from that was the impetus of actually creating Dental Innovations. The idea was well received. Then Merv, at that time, left the bank and put his energy in towards growing the network. So it's been a journey for 25 years. And then, very early on, myself and my brother Tim joined the business. So we've been in the business now for 22 and 23 years respectively as well.
So you and Tim have been in part of it just about as long as your father has been.
Just about. We were recruited very early on to help out in the business. And here we stayed. He's come in for a couple of weeks, I think he said.
Just like a lot of dental auxiliaries kind of fall into the dental industry, the only people that intend to go into it sometimes are the dentists themselves. But you guys all fell into the industry as well. It's interesting that your father never had a history in dental art, but before this.
Yeah, that's correct. And he saw, I guess, Merv often says that he was helping out in his career as a banker, helping out a lot of small businesses and advising them, but, never had the opportunity to create a business himself. And when the opportunity came and the support from the industry and the dentist, then it was a great opportunity for him to test himself, I guess, and build a successful business.
Fantastic. And, when we talk about the value of having a business that's been around for a long time, and especially one that's really started from grassroots and moved up, the network, the relationships are extraordinary that you develop. As you mentioned, competition for dental consumable companies, for example, back then, there was Regional and there was Hallis and there were kind of half a dozen. Now there are so many. The competition is absolutely fierce. What's been your experience of that?
Well, it's been really interesting to see how it has evolved. One of the key elements of success of getting Dental Innovations up and running was winning the support of Dent Supply at that time. And they were the company which sort of recognised the value of working proactively with practice owners as opposed to treating them as a customer, I guess. So they've been supporting us for the last 25 years in our journey, and there's a key strategic alliance with them. And their journey in itself is really quite interesting with the merger to densify Sirona now. And that's just an evolving, proposition to be one of the largest global players of dental consumables and equipment. So there certainly has been a proliferation of different suppliers. We work with strategically with selected suppliers, so we're not dealing with everybody, but we're working with 10 supply companies who are supporting our members through pricing and service in recognition of the value of what the Dental Innovations Network is.
Wonderful. And would you say, although I grew up, that was the main focus of Dental Innovations, or what you were known for, is that when you became a member of Dental Innovations, you became part of a kind of a buyers group, didn't you? And you started to enjoy discounts that you wouldn't have enjoyed if you were just purchasing from these companies one-on-one.
Yeah, and that's still one of the key features of what we're doing is based around that price point in terms of being able to negotiate on behalf of our members. What's happened over that journey of 25 years and what's really quite an interesting dynamic in the industry now is corporatization, where the individual practice owners are now up against some very large and very skilled, I guess, providers. When you talk about your Boopers, your NDCs, etc., like that, Maven, for example, as well, then they're offering some pretty stiff competition for the independent practice owners to compete against. I guess when you look at Dental Innovations, we're almost representing that independent practices against that segment, almost a corporate for independent practices, achieving the same economy of scales and resources that these corporates are enjoying and whom they're competing against. The evolution in terms of the stock ordering is that we're evolving our systems in terms of how the practice owners interact with suppliers, and we do that primarily through an online ordering system where you can order from multiple companies at one point. It's quite sophisticated in terms of seeing the DI pricing, extracting reporting, setting budgets, order histories. So there's lots of features in terms of actually systemizing the ordering within a dental practice. So number one, you're tapping into the DI pricing, but you're also providing a solution in terms of the ordering system, which just creates efficiencies right through the practice in terms of staff resources, time spent, but also prices achieved in a dental practice.
Fantastic. That is absolutely one of the challenges that dental practices do have, is who's going to be doing the ordering, how are they going to have an allocated regular time frame to be able to get that done in, and how are we going to get all the rest of the team members on board with a particular system. So streamlining that consumables ordering process is enormously helpful for dental practices, because the costs are large when you need things on the day and you suffer courier fee charges when you've got the other end of the spectrum where you've got too much stuff sitting on the shelf and the expiry date is getting closer and closer and then beyond it, and it's wasted money as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a bugbear in just about every practice we speak to, and just providing that solution. It's been operating now and evolving over the last 10 years. And what it is just a redundant system within the practice as well that anybody can access. And even if you're transitioning staff, that ordering system still stays within the practice. The next evolution of that we have associated with that is inventory control and stock management, which we've built in just recently as well. And that's just taking the full extension of it within a dental practice from, inventory control to ordering as well. But, the key component is that it's part of what the Dental Innovations proposition is, and it's a lot broader proposition in terms of savings and efficiencies across the practice. Stock ordering and inventory control is just one part of what we're doing.
You're supporting practices in different ways as well, as you are saying. What was the next step in terms of supporting practices in other operational ways, Berris?
Yeah, well, we're looking we're looking at a dental practice as a small business and all the challenges associated with that. So, we look at things like, your merchant rate high caps, just to try and find savings which are ongoing within a dental practice. The suppliers who we bring on board, or partners which we bring on board, we want to make sure that they are reputable. Often they're recommended by our own members. They offer quality service, and a quality product. And they're willing to work with our members long term. So a lot of our relationships are 15-year plus relationships we have with suppliers and partners. So we're looking at things like insurances, so practice insurance, equipment. There's a very broad spectrum of services which we have available. Where we find that there's a need in the practice, we'll generally try and find a solution for our members. One of the things that came out of the lockdown and COVID, the importance of having effective marketing and local area marketing. So one of the key services which we evolved is what we call social sharing. And every practice is trying to run their own social media and create content for their surgery. So we brought on board a digital marketer, and she created content and a resource, or basically a library of this content which our members can access and use in their social media. So they pick and choose what they would like to use, the images. They've got the captions and the hashtags associated with that image, and they can co-brand it with their practice. And so it's just a resource which they can use for their local area marketing and social media. We've also then extended to a full sort of suite, digital marketing agency as well in terms of web pages and all that area. But it was just at that critical time where we saw that marketing was really important to have a voice and let people know and interact, professionally and with good content into their customer base or patient base.
That's extraordinary, because it is tapping into a space where we tend to, or I shouldn't say all of us, but I would imagine that there's a number of dental practices that allocate the social media marketing side of things and management to a younger team member who is au fait with the platforms out there. But from a strategic perspective, or understanding how to put something together that's going to be really appealing to your market base is a different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also time and allocation of resources. And it's the same point, Julie, with the ordering, that it's allocated down to someone, generally a junior staff member. They've become a little bit endemic in the industry of the need to shop around, trying to find the best deals. It's really almost a false economy in terms of the time and wage of the girl looking or the staff member looking for specials or the best deal can be better utilised, working on patient recalls or getting treatment planning or something like that, which can be far more productive and a much better return for the practice. The same with the social media marketing. You can waste a lot of time on it, but if you can tap into a quick resource, then it just becomes a lot more efficient and hopefully better content as well.
Fantastic. That's so great. How else can Dental Innovations provide value to their members?
I guess one of the key components of Dental Innovations, there is that, where you get your clear return on investment, and being part of Dental Innovations is around the services and negotiated benefits. The other part is that the foundation of Dental Innovations, the philosophy behind practice owners working together and being proactive. One of the main mechanisms we have for that is our member forum, and it just enables practice owners to connect, share ideas or ask for advice with other practice owners. So it's that peer base and peer-to-peer support is quite critical for our members. And that would certainly come to the fore when we talk about what was happening with the rapid lockdowns for COVID, etc. like that, and just providing assistance for our members and them helping each other in terms of what resources or information they could find. The other part of what we're doing too is also leveraging our membership, then the knowledge base there and our supplier relationships, provide ongoing webinar series, constantly asking what our members would like to learn or who would they like to hear from, and then providing on a monthly basis webinars as well, which I believe you're the next one.
I am. I'm so excited. And just to let everyone know, the focus of the webinar that I am doing is increasing treatment acceptance through the patient engagement process. This is a process that I've spoken about for many, many years, or for the past 10 years, the whole time I've been part of my own consulting business. And we've got a good flow of attendees coming along, so hopefully we'll get a huge amount more and I'll be able to share my wisdom and insights.
Very popular, Julie. You're getting a very good response, so looking forward to it.
And I think what you said earlier, that dental practices are generally, most commonly, they are small businesses. And the practice owners and managers, you can really feel quite isolated. We can be sucked into that thought process of the dental practices around us are our competition rather than our colleagues. And therefore, we really close in just to the strengths of the people within the business itself. Dental Innovations, especially through your forum as well, you're helping to broaden that out, and through all of your webinars and further education opportunities as well, broaden that out and start to see your colleagues as colleagues rather than competition, so we can as a group collectively make ourselves more successful and better run with better systems and better upskilling of teams, but also as an industry that we are offering something to the market out there that is far more elegant in their delivery of dental services to patients because we're working together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the key things is you're going to move further faster together and sharing the knowledge base, with your fellow peers rather than seeing necessarily as competitive. There's always going to be the guy next door, or worst case scenario, you're up against a corporate, and that's offering a different level of competition. But through Dental Innovations, what we're offering is basically that back office resource where you can tap onto and sort of hopefully amplify what you're doing and find answers for you quicker as well in terms of our relationships. So because we work so closely with the industry, that if there's an issue or if you need assistance, and we can tap in at a very high level in terms of within an organisation to get that assistance for you. Maybe as simple as looking for a piece of equipment, and rather than working your way through the chain, we can actually put you in at the national equipment level in a supply company and get the answers for you a lot faster.
So I would imagine for a business that wanted to become a member of Dental Innovations, they haven't been so far. Once they become a member, is it a process of moving through, having that conversation with you guys, moving through all your expenses, what you're spending money on at the moment, insurances, merchant fees, consumables, etc., and just starting to tick all the boxes of where Dental Innovations can have a positive impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're lucky to have Nirvana on our team. She's our business development manager. She's actually an ex-practice manager, so she's got a really comprehensive and inside understanding of the operation of a dental practice. And what we do is basically start working through the onboarding process for the online ordering, and then get you set up quite quickly with that so you can start accessing the benefits. But then it's working through all the other, down the chain effectively, of all the other services where we know we'll get immediate benefit for you. But with Dental Innovations, it's an opt-in basis. So we'll present you with the services which you can choose to use, and it's your choice whether you want to use them or not. So it's very much, pick and choose what you'd like to use in your practice. We respect that you're an independent business, and then you choose what you'd like to use. And that comes down to, in terms of the consumable ordering, you still maintain choice on the product that you wish to order. There's no influence from our side of things. We're simply presenting the full catalogue of our partners on the website, and you pick and choose what products you want to utilise.
Fantastic. And so being a member, is it a monthly, annual fee that you pay? Can you opt in, opt out? What's that side of the experience look like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always been the model which we've had is on a quarterly membership basis. And that's really the term of the membership, is on a quarterly basis. So you come on board. We have a range of vouchers and offers from our suppliers to make it effectively a cost-neutral proposition. So you can come on board, we'll get you onboarded, and you can start utilising the vouchers and utilising the system to start saving pretty much immediately. And that's the model which we go to. In terms of, there's no obligation to use anything that we have available. It's at your choice. We encourage you to use more because it's simply, there's more value there for you in terms of your return on investment. And if it's not working for you, you can simply exit at any point. We'll keep you happy to chat to you, but generally our retention rate is extremely high. We've got members who have been with us for the full journey, still going after 25 years. So we know the value is there for our members.
That's pretty special. I can't imagine being one of the practices that have been there from the start with you guys, and you've got to know each other very, very well. And the kind of relationship that you do have with your members is very much, this is how you tap into figuring out what members what dental practices out there need in order to be more successful and be able to access other services and products that are going to help them be successful too. As I say, you can feel like a bit of an island at times, and we need to do what we can to really broaden out where our reach is. And so we've got access to these kind of resources that are really designed to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that's one of the really valuable parts of what we're doing in terms from our side of the table is the relationships we create with our members. So, we're taking the journey with these guys through their career and hopefully helping them along the way. But, we certainly enjoy the personal relationships you build over this period of time. That's equally as valuable to us as much as anything that we're doing.
And just from an interest perspective, I mean, you're based here in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and during the COVID situation, how did that impact? I would imagine that you guys found it pretty easy to kind of shift and flip into home, working from home. Or am I wildly wrong?
I'm not too sure about easy, but we certainly did it. It was certainly a credit to the team in terms of being able to. We were lucky in terms that we were able to switch quite quickly to work remotely and still be effective. But that was with everybody had to put in a lot of hard work to get to that point to make it relatively seamless. But we were able to continue providing, even in the lockdown in Melbourne, to service our members effectively and continue without too much disruption. It impacted, I suggest, the dental practices a lot more in terms of just, it was very, very abrupt in terms of what happened in terms of shutting down. But even then, we're still talking to our members and providing as much support as we can. The interesting part about being a national business and with members both right around Australia and New Zealand is that they're all running at different speeds. So even once the initial lockdown was over, then other states like WA and Queensland in particular were up and running back, relatively normal after that. So we're quite busy in that respect as well.
Yeah, I agree. I was doing some free consulting to a group of dental practices at the start of the pandemic and walking them through the lockdowns, the PPE, all the, trying to tap into as many resources as I could so I could provide that kind of information to everybody. And because I was in Victoria, you do get that sense that everyone's going through the same level of lockdown and restrictions, but we weren't. We were, every state was going through quite different things at the time. And I reflect back over some of the recordings that I did back then, and I was like, oh my God, I kind of assumed that the whole of Australia was in Victoria's position.
That's
but
right,
thankfully not everybody was, but I think everyone's having their shared turn of it now.
Well, that's the unfortunate part about it. Just it was timing as it rolled down, but I think the Victorian dentists certainly took the brunt of it. It wasn't until you actually start moving around you realise that the impact on different states was quite substantial. Certainly psychologically as much as anything, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of post-traumatic stress out there from it all. And I think it's been, nothing has kind of gone back to normal as yet. I think that, hopefully one day things will go back to a certain normality, but it is a wonderful thing that practices can continue to function and operate and get revenue coming through, and hopefully we've gone beyond the hardest lockdowns. We won't be facing that again, fingers crossed. Now, the other aspect that I'm intrigued about is because I've worked in dental practices for my whole career, and so I have worked in some where it's just been that main dentist that's there present every day, being the owner and the main clinical operator. I've been in others where there's other family members involved, whether it be children that have gone through university and are a dentist now, or a spouse who is the practice manager or the receptionist. And I've often had this discussion on other podcasts as a guest where we say, how do families actually figure out how to work well together? Now, as an outsider looking in, yourself, your dad and Tim, it's always seemed pretty smooth running. If it's appropriate to share, what's been your experience of how you do maintain a family-operated business in a way that you still maintain family?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we picked up quite early on is you don't take it home. You don't sit down for your Sunday dinner with family and talk about the business. You need to have that distinction in terms of where the business sits, in terms of maintaining that personal family relationships outside of it. But you also find your own boundaries within the business in terms of where your strengths are and what part of the business you can look after and work together. in that sense as well. So you have your own sort of area of responsibilities, and that helps a lot as well. But certainly, working with your father, if you look, retrospectively, it's a fantastic mentorship in terms of transitioning his information and knowledge, which he had through his banking career, across to myself and Tim, to provide a pretty good foundation for us. It may not seem it at the time, but it certainly was. And the other thing too with family businesses, you can have very direct conversations and move forward a lot quicker, I think, than possibly in a normal workplace, where you may need to be a little bit more politically correct.
It's interesting. I've been going through some leadership training with some practice managers and owners recently, and so you find yourself thinking about, where did I get my business values from? And so much of it does come from my dad and people that have been around for a long, long time, and the behaviours that we grew up observing. My ex-father-in-law was a bank manager for decades and decades in rural areas, and I imagine it is one of those roles, it's one of those professions that require a very ethical, professional, values-based management, because you're dealing with people's money and they are vulnerable and you're in the position of power. And so when you are very effective in those roles, I imagine that the principles that your father led by have just kind of come through observation to you and yourself and Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the core values of what Merv's instilled, is just integrity. You have to be able to be trusted, and that's the foundation of all our relationships. So without that, people start questioning. So we're quite transparent in what we're doing, and that's one of the core values that Merv instilled throughout the network.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, you've certainly acted with integrity, and the relationships that you've built have stood the test of time because of that. So if there are dental practices out there that want to find out how they can benefit and the kind of percentage decreases in the consumables ordering that they'd be experiencing, the types of events that you guys plan that they could benefit from, and the forum, I find, is that must be an enormously powerful thing to get that support structure around you. If they're interested in the benefits of dental innovations, what's their best next step?
Yeah, absolutely. Please just reach out. So either visiting our website, dentalinnovations.com.au, or you can reach out to myself, just berris@dentalinnovations.com.au, or Navan, who's our business development manager. I'd be more than happy just to organise a time to have a quick chat and just give you some perspective on how we can help you, or go through a more detailed presentation. So just to give you a quick indication in terms of the savings which we can achieve on consumables, that is often a question we'll get asked straight up. On average, we're saving between 15 to 20% off your current market pricing that you're getting from our partners. So it can be quite a substantial saving in terms of dollar value.
That is substantial, goodness me. And when you're talking before about people doing the ring around, getting a staff member to do a ring around to save 50 cents or $1 off this or that, the 15 to 20% saving can cancel that whole process out.
Yeah, and that doesn't even incorporate the systemization and the time savings. So a lot of people also calculate on what that time they're actually saving in the ordering process, and that's got a dollar value associated with it as well. And that can add up to be quite an amplifier in terms of the savings and efficiencies within a practice, just on time alone and wages.
Dental Innovations has always come across as providing the kind of service that's a bit of a no-brainer. It's difficult to find any reason not to jump on board with it. And it's kind of that irresistible offer that you think, come on, just jump into it. So I think Dental Innovations have been around for such a long time. They know the industry so intimately well that I would encourage all listeners to contact Berris, Navan. Just go through the website itself, dentalinnovations.com.au, and do some further investigation. It really is a smart step. And just to let everyone know that if you are interested in attending the webinar of increasing treatment acceptance through the patient engagement process, it is coming up on Wednesday, August 31st, and it's going to be an evening, so Melbourne, Sydney time, 7:30 p.m. for about an hour, and it'll be live, so you can ask as many questions as you like, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I thank you for the opportunity, Berris, to be part of one of the events that is offered to your members.
No, we really appreciate your support, Julie. And again, you're one of the trusted people within the industry that we like to work with, and those shared values. So what we'll do with the webinar, we'll pop that out on our Facebook, so you can access the link to register via our Facebook as well, through Dental Innovations on Facebook. And you're welcome to join us on for that webinar with Julie.
Fantastic. Thanks, Berris. And I will certainly provide links to your email address, Dental Innovations, and the webinar as well within the show notes. So jump onto those. Thank you so much, Berris. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure to speak with you. I've spoken to yourself, Tim, and Merv many times over the years and decades. In different capacities.
You're feeling old, Julie.
Well, I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day. And again, I encourage everyone out there to jump onto Dental Innovations, jump onto this no-brainer that's going to provide enormous value and benefit for your practice.
Thank you very much, Julie.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, then you should come along and join the club. The club is a whole library of lunch and learns, with new lunch and learns being produced all the time that help your dental team gain greater success in your systems, in your team behaviours, in your patient management, in your patient engagement, in their treatment plans. They are usually around half an hour in length, and so team members can sit down, be paid for their lunch break, eat lunch while they're being inspired, and delivered all of these insights and strategies that can be implemented so you all achieve greater levels of success. Also, Amina and I, my buddy from Dental Management Expertise, have a company, Dental Business Mastery, together. And our flagship online 1-year course for dental practice managers and dental practice owners to learn how to very successfully manage your dental practice is available. Head over to dentalbusinessmastery.com.au to find out more information, and has information about any other courses that we've got available. Also, make sure you do jump onto my website, julieparkerpracticesuccess.com.au, and you will see a whole load of free information. There are articles, the blog, downloads, templates, a whole load of things that are designed to help you overcome any specific challenge that you've got going on in your practice at the moment. If you have any suggestions of topics or guests that I can have on the podcast, please let me know. Thanks for listening.